Hi there, welcome to this video. This is Love Johar. I have Akshay with me. Akshay, you all know he is there in almost all the videos that we have launched lately. So thank you, Akshay, for being with us today. So before we start discussing about what is auditing, what is internal auditing, what is external auditing, there is a lot of confusion between a lot of people around these terms, and I have been asked these questions a lot in the YouTube comment section. So I wanted Akshay's view on this, how he would like to address this. But before we delve into this topic, I would like to give a huge heads up to all the freshers out there who are looking for the course that we have just described in the previous videos. So there will be a webinar, a big webinar that will be conducted on this Sunday, where we'll be having a Q&A session for any cyber security related questions that you wanted to discuss. Okay, so any fresher who wants to join that webinar, there will be the description will have that phone number and email address where you can contact yourself and you can get registered. So it will be really beneficial for you in order to understand the bits and pieces for all the different courses that Anzen is providing. Okay, so now jumping back to the main question why we are here, Akshay, just throw some light on auditing. A lot of people are confused around internal and external auditing. So I wanted your real view on this. What is your take?
Okay, yeah, so that's true. We usually people have a general sense of what an audit means, but the clear demarcations and the clear boundary and an understanding of what an audit is. So there's a lot of gray area and confusion out there. So let me just first start by explaining or addressing what a cyber security audit in itself means.
Right.
So a cyber security audit in itself means that it's just a method, it's just a process of checking whether the evaluating or checking whether the policies, procedures, it's like it's checking compliance and adherence to certain regulations and guidelines
Right.
against a certain level of checks or balances or points that you have.
Right.
So the end goal of any kind of an audit is compliance. It's just to ensure that I am compliant against a certain regulation, against a certain mandate, against a certain guideline, and the audit in itself checks for the controls, the policies, the procedures and guidelines, whether they are in place or not. Now, this is what a cyber security audit is. There is also a term that is out there, Love, which is a little resonating with this, but it's confusing, is a cyber security assessment.
Yes.
Now
Right.
people usually confuse them either to be the same or one to be the other. But in my opinion, I feel that a cyber security assessment is different from a cyber security audit. In a very basic sense, if I have to tell you, it's that a cyber security audit would tell you would test whether a control is in place or not.
Right.
A cyber security assessment will test the effectiveness of that control within your organization.
Very well. Very well.
So for example, I may just say that, since you have a firewall that is protecting your critical asset, from a cyber security audit I will check this box saying you are compliant because there is a presence of a firewall. But a cyber security assessment will actually assess the rules, or check whether it will go one step further and check whether the firewall rules, the firewall is in itself actually protecting the assets or not.
Right.
Now that cyber security assessment may then break down into one technical activity called as a firewall rule set review or
Right.
a network security architecture review. So within
Right.
that cyber security assessment, two activities, sub activities have come into place, which is essentially a firewall rule set review and a network security architecture review. So in a lot of organizations and in a lot of places that we have consulted for, they call even this as a cyber security audit. They call all this as a firewall audit. But I just wanted to clear this out there, that when you are saying an audit is essentially by definition, an audit is just checking whether the policies, procedures and guidelines are being adhered to or not, whether
Right.
the controls are in place or not.
Right.
Whether there is the effectiveness of those controls is tested by an assessment.
Right.
An assessment may be complementary to an audit, an assessment may be a byproduct of an audit, or an assessment may be a part of an audit.
Okay. Okay.
But the assessment and audit are essentially separate.
But assessment will not give you a compliance certificate, right? Audit will give you that.
Yes, yes. So an audit, so yes, so the product of an assessment will be used as proof for an audit.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
So a checklist point of my audit could be, is the firewall control effective? But that the determination could be done only through a cybersecurity assessment.
Right. Right.
So in theory, the compliance in itself has to be done by the audit itself. The compliance, the certification, the assurance is by the audit, but the assessment is kind of, if I tell you that I have a control in place, as an auditor, you could still go ahead and question me that how will you prove whether this control is effective or not. Now,
Right.
as an auditee, it is my job to make sure that I respond to you. I give you those documentations, because you will just sit there and you will just wait for me to give you a proof. It's not
Right.
your job to test it. It's my job to showcase. So how will I do it? I'll say that I've already had XYZ activities done. I've already had a firewall rule set review done. See, these were the findings, and this is how these findings have been closed over the period of next couple of months. Was the NASAR, the network architecture security review done, and these are the changes in the networks that we have done based on the security recommendations. And this is the report. So then that kind of closes the point, and that helps you in the audit itself.
Right. Right.
Yeah, so I just felt that, this is a point where a lot of people get confused. And then people talk about IT audits, people talk about IT GC audits, people talk about IT GRC audits, people talk about compliance audits. See, ultimately, audit is just like I'll just repeat that in a sentence again, that it's just ensuring compliance against some regulation, some standard, and is checking whether your controls, your infrastructure, your organization is adhering to the guidelines and is in place against a certain like a governance or not. That is essence of an audit.
Yeah. Okay, a follow-up question comes on this very often is, what is the difference between a surveillance audit and certification audit?
So certification, any kind of, so I would say that at any point of time, let's say I come to your firm as an auditor, and at this point of time I'm checking something. So that is a point in time certification. When I checked your organization against a certain standard, for evaluated your controls, I found them to be in place, and I'm issuing this certificate to you. But if over a period of time you are observed, and over a period of time you have to showcase that the effectiveness of your compliance is there, I believe that is something that comes under your certification and a surveillance audit.
Absolutely, I agree. What is the difference between an internal versus external? A lot of people are confused there.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, there is a very subtle difference because the external audit. Now, just bear with me. I'll try to break this down as simply as possible. The external audit is against a specific standard.
Yes.
The external audit is done by a third party.
Yes.
And the primary aim of an external audit is to check your organization's posture against those set guidelines.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So the governing principle, the governing body, the thing that is in mind is that regulation body when it comes to an external audit.
Right.
An internal audit is defined and governed by the management of an organization. So the management will decide that we need to do an internal audit. The purpose of it will be done by the internal employees and the compliance team. That's the second point. And the third point is the guiding principle for an internal audit is checking against controls and improving the processes within the organization or the information security program. Now, when I say this, what I essentially mean is that let's take a very small example. I want to get ISO certified. I want to get PCI DSS certified. Now, an external audit will be an accredited third party firm that is going to come and audit my organization against that standard, be it
Right.
ISO, be it PCI. Right. Now they will have their checks, they will look at everything from a fresh perspective, and they will just see whether I'm compliant or not, and they'll either issue me a compliance or a non-compliance.
Right.
Now, if I launch an internal audit for ISO or for PCI, purpose is the same, to ultimately try to achieve, but the internal audit in itself essentially means that I want to ensure that all my controls are effective against PCI, and internally I can improve them, and then I am ready to face an external audit. It's like a small difference, a subtle difference that we have between a gray box and a black box testing. When a person comes from the outside, all he wants to know is that from an outside firm, are you okay, are you compliant, is everything okay or not, and can you showcase to me, to your client, to the world everywhere, that you are secure, everything is set up well and dandy.
Right.
From a gray box testing, we have an idea of the system, we understand how it works, and we have a partial idea, and based on that we do it. So an internal auditor is the part of the system, he understands things, and the idea of an internal assessment, internal audits, even with the cycles that they follow, is that internal audits are frequent. For one external audit that you will get, you will have at least 10 to 12 internal audits that have already happened within that time frame, because you break internal audits down. So you would never see in an organization that the internal audit that they're talking about is going to be the final internal audit. The internal audit is usually broken down into 10 smaller internal audits for specific checks, and then as a final act you may have a final preparatory internal audit as a last audit, just to make sure everything is in place. But today, if an ISO or a PCI says that implement this X, Y, Z, A, B, and C. So for external auditor will come and check for all X, Y, Z, A, B, and C. But me as a management team, I will make an internal audit plan. I will make an audit charter based on whatever my priority is, based on whatever is effective and ready right now. And I will have an internal audit for X, for Y, for Z, for A, for B, and for C. So then I can continuously improve X while I am having an audit of Y as well. So I am utilizing my resources, I am utilizing my time, I am utilizing the money of the budget of the organization, and in the most time effective way I am able to prepare myself for an external audit or for security in general.
Right. So let's say when the external auditor comes in, will they check the internal audit reports?
Yes, they do, because an effective security program has to have internal audit in place. So the very first thing, even before the report, the very first thing they will ask is whether you have an audit charter or not. Right. So essentially, you have to showcase that yes, we have periodic audits that are going on. We keep checking for this. Then you show. They might ask you for a calendar. They might ask you for a charter, and they might ask you. They usually do ask you for the last couple of audit reports, as you already know. They will ask you that last 3 reports, last 6 months, whatever assessments you have done, give me an audit report. Now, a little bit of confusion here also comes in, Love, is that people come ahead and ask me that I have done a vulnerability assessment as a technical activity. Does that come under an internal audit? That's a very valid question, right? I mean, if somebody is asking you, is he talking about a technical assessment, or is he talking about an audit? No, he's talking about an audit. He's not talking about a vulnerability assessment. An internal vulnerability assessment that I have done is not an internal audit. An internal audit says that I will perform a security assessment of all my assets. Now your internal audit will be covered through n number of vulnerability assessments that have happened.
Right.
So that becomes part of your audit. Audit is not a solid palpable thing, love. We have to understand this. It's not necessary that I always have to have a like an audit document or a checklist in place.
Okay. Okay.
Audits do need checklists. See, I'm not for anybody who's now going to think that what is Akshay talking about. Audits do need checklist, but for an audit to say that have you performed the vulnerability assessment, that is one audit question. Second audit question is, are all the findings fixed? So that is my audit. That is my audit report, and the supplement to it is the vulnerability assessment report. So the
Yes.
auditor is looking for that audit report which asks whether you have done vulnerability assessment or not, or whether you have fixed all the findings or not. Are you following vulnerability management program in place? Are you following patch management program in place? And supplementary to this is the patch management report, is the latest antivirus scan, is the last vulnerability assessment, is the last whatever you have done.
Okay. So if you say that internal audit is done by the management itself, the management decides who will do it. So within this definition itself, I completely get that. Isn't it there a conflict of interest there, Akshay? Because I think, just take an example where an IT manager is doing an audit for his own technology function. Why would he give a NC to himself?
Yeah, so when I say management, it's like when we in ISMS as well, or in any other any kind of audit or information security, there has to be an approval or an intent from the management itself. So the management says, the senior management says, okay, we need to have an information security management in place, we need to have a compliance in place, we need to establish compliance XYZ against ABC standard. Now this percolates to the head of information security, which is typically a chief information security officer. He lays it down that we need to be compliant against XYZ standards to his senior managers in information security. Now these are the people who will take up either within a team of 2, 3, 4 people, take up all the standards or divide it or whatever, that is just how the company or the management is structured. And then they decide that we have a compliance team. Now the compliance team in itself will have a compliance officer and will have an auditor. Now the auditor is a role, compliance officer is a designation. So you may say that I am part of the GRC team, I am part of the governance, risk and compliance team. Now today you are the person who is going to follow up, who is going to ensure that all the findings that an auditor finds out or creates has to be fixed. So as an internal auditor, I will be the person who will go ahead and do the audit. And then there will be another guy in the compliance team who will ensure that those audit findings are closed. Now, taking your example, the IT manager from a cyber security perspective, an IT manager in it himself will not do an audit. The cyber security compliance team, there will be a person who will do the internal audit. It may be against the cyber security system and they may become a part of it. We have to ensure compliance of all assets, right? So any asset manager, asset owner will get a compliance or a non-compliance, and the other person of the compliance team will then sit and talk to that IT manager to get it fixed. Even with an IT audit, love, we already know that there is a separate quality assurance team. Yes. That is just there to check whether all kinds of processes and procedures are in place. Right. They are not a part and functioning of a regular IT team. Right. Their only job is to go ahead and audit it. There has to be a maker checker. You are extremely right that if the person who's doing an audit is the person who's maintaining it, then there is a conflict of interest, definitely.
Because I'm just thinking from a startup point of view. You know that I love startup companies, so I'm thinking from just their point of view. If they are short on resources, can they do that?
Yeah, so usually when we start doing these activities, usually one person takes these roles here and there, obviously because we are on shortage and even the scope is lesser. So you could, if you have a 2 people team, you could have one person fixing it, one person doing it. At the beginning, if there is only one guy, I've talked to people because the whole InfoSec team is one person. So in that case, you have no other choice. So you kind of ask the management to delegate somebody else who can help you out. The intention should be to move to maker and checker as soon as possible. But in either case, the audit in itself should be fair, and you should be able to showcase that the audit has in fact been performed in an entire fairness to the management, other teams, and the external auditor that is going to come.
Or what those startup companies can do, they can consult you or another third party consultants to help them out with the audits.
Yeah, so we help out in ways that, first of all, yes, we become part of your team, so then you don't have to worry about it at all, which is what we do. Because then you have to focus on gaining the knowledge entirely of becoming an internal auditor. Obviously, there has to be a role over there. There has to be a compliance officer. But what we usually do is we help teams in internal audits. We do internal audits on their behalf to start them off. Then we help them fix the findings of whatever internal audits they have. Other than that, then we actually give them training as well to make them understand what is there, what happened, what we did, and then they can eventually start doing this process effectively. So I have already done an audit. Now you already know, love, that and if I do a full scale audit of an organization, internal audit against a certain standard, it will take time to fix. Especially even if it's a startup, it takes months, 6 months, 8 months, a year for them to fix all findings.
A very tedious process.
Right. So they need to make sure. So then they take it over. They keep on testing against it. They will keep on asking the teams, and then we come back again when they have all fixed everything, and as a one final audit, we come in and we help them out.
Right. Absolutely agree, Akshay. So I think we have majorly covered it all. On the audits and internal audits and external audits. Anything else comes to your mind before we close?
Yeah, I mean, one point is that understanding and grasping the whole concept of an audit is important. Understanding what is a risk in general, understanding what is a control, what are the types of controls is important. When we begin an audit culture, we start with ISO. Almost everybody starts with ISO. But understanding that it is beyond ISO, understanding that there is a thing called as GRC, Governance, Risk and Compliance, and ISO is just a small part of it, as is PCI, as is GDPR, as is privacy, as is CIA Triad, as is any other framework that is out there. So as you move in your career upwards, these things move beyond the scope of just a security standard, and you start getting into identifying processes more at a management level, more at a broader level, and identifying risks and threats in the sense of a broader business impact analysis, a broader governance frameworks, talk about your maturity models of organizations, which maps to cyber security as well. Now all of these are a little complicated, I mean, and so little time to discuss all of this in detail.
Yeah, I agree.
But I would just say that you start with these, but then there is a whole world beyond all of this. There's a whole lot of things out there. We talk about GRC, we talk about enterprise risk and compliance, we talk about ERC as well. So that is the aim, and that is where you need to go, and talking about a complete cyber security capability maturity assessment.
Yes.
So even those things, a holistic cyber security audit and assessment, a holistic what is the maturity scale on which you lie from a complete external cyber security assessment perspective. So all of these are very interesting topics. Hopefully we cover them in the future. But this is a very broad field.
One last follow-up question would be: does Anzen provide any such courses in order to help people, understand these audit pieces, together?
So, so to talk about these higher level, I mean, these activities, the ERC assessment, the GRC assessment are actually very experienced and technical activities. Now, that is something that really can't be taught in any kind of a training course, to be honest with you. But yes, we do provide. What we do is at a manager level, at an information security manager level, each and everything that you need to know about audit and compliance above and beyond the standards that we usually talk about is something we cover in audit and compliance training course that we have, which is called as cyber security audit professional, certified cyber security audit professional.
Okay.
That is where we talk about complete audit. We cover all standards like ISO, PCI, GDPR, HIPAA. We talk about privacy laws. We even cover our India's data protection bill as well. And so these are the regulatory points, and then we talk about how to actually do an audit. So by the end of this course, then you are able to understand, you have such an because this is for experienced people. So here it is that you already have a baseline. We start from scratch. We don't assume that you know anything. But the most people who benefit out of it are people who want to make it big into the compliance domain itself. So it requires a lot of study. It requires a lot of background. We give a lot of background, but we start from what a risk is. We start from the same point. We start where everybody starts, but we move on to a point where we help you audit any system. Then you will not be afraid of auditing a bank company, auditing a healthcare company. You will not be afraid whether it is an application. You will not be afraid whether it's a practice that I'm doing, whether it's a document that I have, whether it's a verbal communication I'm happening. You will all be able to make sense out of it, put it into a system, audit it, prepare a report, and then help fix it.
Yes.
All the nuances of audits that happen, how an audit charter works, how to plan, what are controls. We talk about controls a lot, but essentially the knowledge that people have of controls right now is just the ISO 27002 annex that we have. Is like, those are controls. It is way beyond that. How a control is actually defined, how can you create a custom control as an auditor and a compliance officer. So we go into that in-depth detail, because we help consult our clients to achieve that level of maturity. So I mean, that is very specialized, and that is for something who really wants to crack this compliance domain in itself and wants to just move beyond. It's like a transcendence when you have learned so much that you feel that now I'm a little elevated. So kind of in that sense, it's a highly specialized course, and it's really good, and it has helped. I mean, people have been just like really benefited out of it, way beyond just getting a certification or just a job.
Absolutely.
It's like they have completely nailed the whole concept. I mean, it's like somebody coming to you and saying that because I have already played a guitar, now I understand how to play a synthesizer as well, because the chords, I have an idea of the chords. So it's like somebody coming to you and saying that now I understand audit and compliance as a principle. So give me any standard, give me GDPR, give me HIPAA, I will be able to do it. So I mean, building that level of capability.
Yeah, great. Akshay, now just coming back and asking from a fresher's point of view, the CIRP course will cover touch points on audit also, right? Freshers will get a taste of this.
Yeah, so we do talk about audit, love, but the CIRP course in itself is a technical course. So what I will suggest is that if compliance is something you want to start your career with, then maybe the CSAP course is better for you, because it's a both of them are highly specialized courses. One prepares you from a technical perspective, one prepares you from a compliance perspective. So if compliance is something that is in your mind, then you go with the CSAP course. If preparing yourself technically for any and every kind of cyber security project as a person with 0 to 2 years of experience then CIRP is the course.
Okay. So different mindsets, I would say, from freshers' point of view. If a freshers want to go for technical journey, choose CIRP. If you want to go for the audit journey, choose the other one, CSAP, right? Okay.
Yeah, so I've met a lot of people who have already done internships, who are already even at a fresher level. I have met people who are ISO 27001 lead auditor certified. So they have a theoretical knowledge, but they cannot make any sense of it. but they somehow just want to go into audit and process, and there are openings. See, I won't say there aren't openings for freshers in process and compliance. Why not? They young or fresh auditors with fresh set of minds and knowledge is always welcome anywhere. So I mean, it would be very unfair to say that any field is not good for a fresher to enter.
Yeah, I
So
was about to say that.
yeah, so it would be really wrong to say that. So I think CSAP is a course then they could go for, because from a fresh, so then you don't convolute yourself with joining a team and learning and then unlearning when you are sitting with me. You start from the fresh, and I teach you all the concepts then and there itself. You nail down all the regulatory standards, you nail down compliance, and then everything starts to make sense when you join a team, when you join an internal audit team.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all making sense. Absolutely, from a fresher's point of view. I hope the freshers get benefit out of this. Thank you so much for your time, Akshay. It was really great talking today. We covered a lot of in-depth, touched upon a lot of different things that people kept on asking, and I'm completely hoping that people are getting a lot of value from these videos that we are putting out. So just a shout out to all the freshers who are out there. CIRP related cybersecurity Q&A session will be happening this Sunday. If you want to register for it, if you want to ask any questions to Akshay will be there, I will be there, all his training team will be there to answer any questions that you have regarding the course, as well as regarding any of the things that you want to discuss otherwise in terms of basics of cyber security up to the CISO level, right, Akshay? Anything and everything.
So a lot of people have been inquiring left, right, and center. Love, thanks to your platform and thanks to you. So what I felt was that I think it's time for us to just sit together. Everybody who is curious about this, who wants to inquire this, can talk about this, and we can just lay it out in the open. And when we can talk about the course details and what to expect out of it and what you will get out of it. So yes, I'll request anybody and everybody who wants to know about this and who wants to kind of just instead of procrastinating in yourself, just come to the platform, spend half an hour, ask all your questions, and then you're clear whether you want to go with something like this or not. I mean, at least have a clear mind with whatever you want to do. I mean, that's what I suggest to anybody. Whatever you do is ultimately your decision, but then you need to make a decision and have the right set of tools and knowledge before you make that decision.
Yeah, this is a quality of a true mentor, Akshay. I would like to mention here, you are not only helping, you are helping them clear their doubts, which will actually enable them to search a right career for them in the future. Really,
love any and every call that I get involved with a person. I mean, there have been a lot of inquiries to your platform as well, and people have problems, people have challenges, and I believe that it's first important to make sure that their problem gets solved.
yes.
I will be very wrong to say when I say that my training is the solution to each and every problem. No, my training is an enabler that may help solve your problem, but you are the solution to your problem. So I discuss and talk to them. I help them understand that first you have to clear your head, first remove all the confusion, then take a wise decision.
Right.
Everybody today, love, is capable of taking their own decisions. Gone is the time when we considered freshers to be naive. They are smarter than us. They are smarter than us. They have been born and they have been raised in a era that is more advanced than people before them. So I mean, everybody is really, and they have a lot of knowledge. I mean, the kind of interaction I have, they know so much already. They have inquired so much. They have gone to so many courses, places. They have got burned couple of places. They have learned something couple of this. So I always have good experience talking to different people. So I always say that that is why I always encourage to just get your doubt cleared. Just talk to somebody. Just make sure that you discuss things. Don't take anybody's opinion as the final one. Take a decision on what you believe in is true, but ask the right questions. That is your right.
Yes. Again, a huge shout out to all the freshers out there. A great platform, a great mentor like Akshay is there, to help you out. Just follow the link in the description. There will be a phone number as well as an email where you can contact Akshay and his team for registering on this webinar on Sunday. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Thank you, Akshay, for your time.
Thanks.